What's up, guys? Today we're going to try something a little different. I figured I would do kind of a demonstration because a lot of guys from my TikTok and Instagram have asked me questions about these Fujispray V8s and how I like them. Fujispray actually sent me these a few months ago and I've used them on literally everything and I really enjoy them. So I figured I would just do like, not necessarily a review video, but a quick demonstration on what each one is good for. And maybe it'll help you guys to determine which version you want. But to start, I'm going to use this one. This is the HVLP. I'm going to use this one for sealer and base coat. And then I'll use the MP, the medium pressure, for clear on this bumper, as well as the other jobs that I have in the paint booth today. So yeah, let's just go ahead and get into it. I need to clean everything that's in here right now. And then I'll get some sealer mixed up and we'll get into spraying some sealer with this. This one is also a 1.3. I don't know if it'll focus on that. Yeah, 1.3. That's typically my go-to for any gun is 1.3 or 1.2. 1.2 more for base coat, but yeah, so let's just go ahead and get into sealer. I have sealer loaded up in the gun. I'm gonna turn this up to about 25 PSI. And I want to show you how absolutely gigantic this fan is. I don't use it at this setting, but I'll show you anyway. Like 2 of my hands. Huge. The way I set this HVLP up, because at that fan setting, for me, it's just a little bit slow for my liking. So I usually turn just about a full turn. And it's perfect. Now I actually get speed and I feel like more control, because having such a big fan, sometimes what can happen is it just seems like it's spraying a little bit light in the middle, and that's just because I'm not going slow enough. My arm speed via muscle memory is pretty quick, so that helps me with this gun. If you end up buying one of these, my settings that I recommend starting with is like 3/4 to 1 full turn on your fan, 25 PSI, and turned in like maybe half a turn on your fluid. All right, so let's just we'll get into spraying this. Pack rag off this bumper here. Okay. Like I said, about 25 PSI. Top. I like to do all of my edges first here, so I ensure that I don't miss those, because I've done that in the past. Tell you this much, I ain't perfect, but I do have a pretty good system down for how I do things. And if you're watching my arm speed, I'm actually cruising right along with this gun. And that's because I wound that fan in. I think that's part of the reason why I'm not really a huge Supernova fan, because I just I don't feel the need to have a fan that's a mile long. All right. And this is a rear bumper, so all I'm going to do, and wait a bit more there, is single coat, and that's all it needs. This is Sherwin P30. Oh, that thing slid down. This is Sherwin P30 with S45 sealer converter in it. It's a very, very, very impact resistant sealer. It's honestly one of my favorites that I've ever used, and they're not paying me to say that. I really, really like this sealer. We're gonna let this flash like 10 minutes or so. I use kind of a fast reducer. just to get this thing in and out of here. All right, guys, so I got the gun cleaned out. I got my base coat loaded in this. And like I said, I'm gonna do this back to back. With Ultra 9K, you can just do wet on wet coverage coats. And for the sake of time saving, I'm going to do that. I'm just gonna do a single wet coat, come back, do one more, and then I'll set up an air blower on a stand and we'll get this dehydrated. But yeah, HVLP again. I'm gonna set this at 26 PSI. Yeah, it feels good. And as always, edges first. With this base coat, you really got to spray it wet, so for winding the fan in a little does make a huge difference. You can see my arm speed, I definitely slow down for base coat. Alright, my first coverage coat. I really do like the ergonomics of this gun. Just like the way it fits in your hand. Pretty comfortable. I will admit that it's a little on the heavy side. But other than that, it fits really good in your hand. Sorry, it's hard to talk and paint at the same time. Trying to figure out how to do this tonight. This is the other thing that I don't really care for on guns. Just swivels just suck. There is no benefit to them whatsoever. Never liked when Sada did that. Sada, Sato, however you pronounce it. It's fine when you have like a digital gauge on the back of the gun, but when you have to run a regulator, it's not the move. And this coat, I'm not going nearly as slow because I really don't need to. This is more like a half to 3/4 coat because this base coat covers pretty dang fast. And that's it. That's my back-to-back coverage coats. Now, this gun, if you're going to use it for base coat, I absolutely recommend winding your fan. It just makes it easier to get a super even result every single time. With it tightened up, it just sprays that much better. It's nice that it has that big of a fan, but I've never come across the time where I feel like I want to open this wide up, because like I said before, it feels like the gun is just a lot slower when it's wide open fan. So I always wind it in, and typically I'll start anywhere from 24 to 27 PSI, and that's really where I like this thing. But we're gonna set up that stand, let some air get moving over this, and then come back for a control coat. And then once I do that, dry that for another 15 minutes or so, and then we'll be ready to grab the MP for clear coat. Now the MP is also a really, really good base coat gun. I've used it a number of times with really good results, but we'll get into that when we get to clearing, all right? So give me just a few and we'll get to control coat. All right guys, this is all dehydrated now, and all I have left is my control coat. So I'm gonna do about 1.5 feet away, same PSI. I usually don't change my pressure. And yeah, 75% overlap, and I'm just gonna lay these metallics down as smooth as I can get them. Let it all dry, and we'll be ready to grab that MP for clear coat. So let's go ahead and do this. Really tight overlap. You want to lay your base coat down as smoothly as you can. And if there's any kind of tiger stripes or mottle or anything like that, this control coat is going to solve that. And if you've never sprayed water-based, this is pretty standard on any kind of waterborne base coat system. I know it looks like I'm just dry spraying the heck out of this, but there's a reason to my technique here. I don't know if you noticed a little bit of mottle I had going on over here. Pretty much went away. And that's kind of the nature of the beast when it comes to waterborne base coat, is really relies on this last little control coat or orientation coat, whatever you want to call it, for the final result. That looks really good. I'm going to set my stand up again and just let it circulate some air in here. But that's base coat done, and that was all with the HVLP. Great option if you're spraying solvent or water. With water, it does take a little bit more finesse. That's not the gun's fault. Just because of how waterborne sprays. And if it sprays waterborne really good, it's going to spray solvent equally as good. So let's let this dry, and I will load up that MP and we'll see how that lays clear. All right guys, so I have the MP loaded up with clear here. Spraying Dimension GC5020. And I'm going to do 2 coats with about a 10-minute flash in between. I'm going to let it get sticky, then I'll do a second coat. As far as gun settings on the MP, full fan, because it is not nearly as big as the HVLP, but that's a good thing. This is a 1.3 and about 27 to 28 PSI on this one. Full fluid. That's where I like this gun. That's where I recommend people starting. It's a little bit too fast, wind your fluid in, like a turn, okay? So let's go ahead and start clearing this. As always, edges first. Okay. One thing, if you guys pick these guns up, that I noticed right off the bat is the trigger pull. It is very, very, very short. And the first time you use it, it is kind of a trip, because I don't own any other paint guns that have this short of a trigger pull. And it doesn't like affect how you spray. It's just an odd thing the very first time that you use it. And this is kind of worth mentioning, but this spray gun in particular is actually pretty damn efficient. When Freddie and I don't know if you guys follow my TikTok page, but we double gun clear coated Chevy Camaro, a 67 or something like that we repainted. And he used this gun and I used Jet 5500 1.2, and he had way more clear coat than I did by the time he got his side done. I think he had like almost half a cup, maybe just a little bit under that. And it was crazy because I had used 1 whole cup on my side. Now that does come down to spray styles, but clearly there's some paint saving material there. Now I'm gonna let this dry. Like I said, 10 minutes. I'm gonna let it get sticky. As you can see, I spray my first coat how I want my last coat to look. I always spray wet both coats. I want the build, in case something like a piece of dirt or something lands in this, I want to have enough clear coat to be able to nib and polish it. So that's why I do that. But so far so good. This thing is really slick. Alright guys, so that's job done. I've got 2 coats of clear on this. I'll bring you guys in at the very end here, but let's talk about which one would I recommend out of the MP or the HVLP. After using both for a few months now and using them both for both base coat, clear coat, there is one clear winner, and that's the MP. Reason being, this is more versatile than the HVLP. That's not to say that the HVLP is a bad gun, because I really do like this for base coat. I like it for sealer. I especially like it for solvent base coat. But for clear coat, this one's just not quite on the same level as the MP. And you'll see this MP is a great clear coat option. I'll also show you this Tacoma that I cleared at the same time with this gun. But yeah, I would personally buy the MP. If you're just gonna buy one, I would buy the MP. Now, if you spray solvent base coat, and that's what you're looking for is a solvent gun, this is a great option. Also, a thing to think about, HVLP versus MP, this uses, I wanna say 14 CFM, 14 or 15 CFM of air. So if you have a small at-home compressor, this one's probably gonna starve you out of air fast compared to the MP. Now this one, I believe, is 10 or 11 CFM. So it's a little bit easier on the air, doesn't take up as much, and that's merely due to the air caps. Let's see if it'll see the difference. This resembles RP from SATA. It resembles the TE20 from the Vilvis. It's a very conventional air cap. HVLP, this looks like most HVLP caps that you see. Two big holes on either side of the nozzle and really big holes in the air holes. Lots of air. These spray softer, and say you were in somewhere that you were required to have HVLP, this is actually a really good option. It just sprays a little bit slower for my liking versus. So that's my two thoughts on these guns, guys. My criticisms on both of these have to be the swivel and the weight. These are not significantly heavier, but they are definitely heavier over a long time. And having an 80-foot booth, and when I have to spray almost a gallon of clear coat at one time, that can be kind of taxing. But for small booth loads like I did today, you don't really even notice it. So those would be my cons. And then the short trigger pull, but that's more of just a personal preference thing. Like I said before, you don't really notice it. But yeah, let's take a look at these end results, see what you guys think. If you guys enjoyed this video, like and comment, let me know how I did. If there's anything you guys want to see in the future as far as maybe gun reviews, product reviews, tutorials, anything like that, just let me know in the comment section. I really appreciate the feedback. I've gotten great feedback on my previous videos, and I want to kind of keep that ball rolling and just kind of take your guys' suggestions and just build this channel up. So I'm going to leave you guys with a couple of shots, and I'll see you guys next Friday for the next one. All right, thank you.